Hey, Sunshine Parenting listeners, and welcome to something new and different. I invite you to join me and my friend Sarah Cluyes as we walk and talk together this week. So strap on your running or walking shoes and join us as we chat and give encouragement to each other and to you.
So here we are. We actually tried to do a walk and talk last week. We still walked and talked, but my technology wasn't working. So hopefully this week it's working, and whoever wants to join us can join us on our walk and talk. These are just our kind of times to catch up with each other, encourage one another. Sarah and I are really good friends, but we live like 5 hours away from each other, 4 hours. And so we can only really catch up right now via technology. So we decided, instead of just like sitting on the couch and feeling like, oh, because we want to talk for like an hour sometimes, that we could walk and talk. So we started doing this, and then we decided to share it with all of you. So here we are again. Hope you enjoy our talk today. One thing that we want to make sure to include every week is an idea for an affirmation. So Salsa, what do you have for us this month or this week for a fun way to affirm your kids?
Well, thank you for asking. Sometimes we feel like our affirmations have to always be in the form of a compliment. And those are good, especially if they're authentic and specific. But sometimes I feel esteemed, or I feel seen and known better and understood when someone just asks a really good question of me. So my idea for an affirmation for your family this week is to ask your kids their opinion more often on something, and then listen, and only listen. Don't correct it. Don't skew it. Don't argue with it. Sometimes that can be hard, but to get really curious about it is really esteeming to our kids. So maybe there's a story on the news. Did you watch that? What do you think about it? Or maybe yesterday I made something for dinner, and I asked one of my kids, now, would you have made it this way? What would you have done differently? And we kind of leaned into more. Would it be a lunch or a dinner? Would it be? And I just listened to the answers. So asking your kids for their input or their opinion just to get to know them better, and not to top it with a better story or a more educated answer, or certainly not to correct them. And we've really rolled into some awesome and interesting and kind of challenging conversations this winter by saying, what do you think about that? Tell me more. Where did you come to that conclusion? I need to think about that too. So that is my suggestion for today.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And I love how it just empowers kids to be realizing that you value their opinion.
And that they practice that muscle of voice, because they're thinking those things, and they're, giving them practice to articulate what they're thinking about, and that there's a place and a space for it. I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, of course, you and I are coming from the lens, our kids are kind of older, like really, they're either young adults or adults already. And so, but as you were talking, I was thinking this actually works for any age, because when you ask, a toddler, what do you think looks better with these pants, these purple shoes or these blue ones? Why do you think that is? That, I think, would make them feel really good, right? Because they're trying to get that identity. That same thing, like we talked about, the toddlers and the teens both have that kind of, sometimes they get a little bit like against you. And so asking their opinion would be, it's kind of like that giving choice. But anyway, I think this even applies for younger kids.
Oh, I agree. In fact, I remember when my kids were tiny and we would watch Clifford, the big red dog, and to be able to say, what did you think about how Clifford responded to that? Or how did he handle that? Would you have handled it the same as Clifford, or the same as that child? And just listen to their answer about a cartoon, about something animated. Do you think that would have worked better? How do you think that person
I think that would have been great. I never watched the cartoons with my kids. Those was my time off. It sounds wonderful though. That is so, you can do it with anything, right? And books,
yes,
and everything.
A story, sure.
So I love that. So that's our affirmation idea for this week's walk and talk with Salsa and Sunshine. Okay, next, let's share some highs and lows, or what's going on So, do you want to start with something?
Well, I'll start my high. My high was such a good surprise. So I'm filling out some paperwork and I needed information and I didn't know where it was. And there's this storage unit of my parents' files that is just um, like a universe unto itself. And I was so dreading having to go through every box trying to find this information. And then out of the blue, my brother said, "Hey, I found this box in my garage." And somehow, when we were emptying out their big storage unit to make it a small storage unit, we accidentally put this one box of files in his car rather than in my car. And it ended up in his garage and he knew where it was. And I did not have to dive into that crazy universe of files. And I have just the ones I need. I just felt like I had gotten 4 days of my life back and I was so excited.
Oh, that is a good high. Like, oh my gosh, when you're anticipating those things that are just going to be grueling and take so long and then they don't, that's like such a nice thing. Because usually it's the opposite. You think something's going to be done in half a day and it ends up taking like a week or something. That's such a good high.
Yes, what about you?
Well, I've had a really good week. As you said, I'm visiting my parents' house. They're not even here. We're just here in Idaho in the snow. And so it's been a really nice change of scenery. And just it's beautiful. It's all white. I took my dog for a long walk in the snow and went skiing yesterday once. And so even though I'm just like, I kind of set up my work and my reading the same as I do at home, but it's just in a new setting. So it's been really nice. So that's a high. And actually getting to see my 20-year-old joined us here from Colorado. So we got to celebrate his birthday. He's no longer a teenager yesterday. So that was fun to get to be with him for his birthday too. So that's my high. All right. How about lows?
Dawn?
Yeah.
Well, maybe some of you guys can relate to this. I'm going to out myself. This was my low. This week I had my annual physical with our general practitioner. You know, you get your labs done, you check your blood pressure, all those good things. And since last year, this month, my cholesterol is higher. Surprise, surprise. And I go, is it, which part of the cholesterol, LDL, HDL, triglyceride? And so I was thinking, I have been cooking more extravagant meals. I'm like, it's got to be the red meat. We're eating more red meat. And my doctor said, well, actually, no. Salsa. No, she calls me Sarah. She said, it's the triglycerides. Have you been eating more starch and simple carbs? And I'm like, oh, comfort me, baby. Yeah, sourdough bread and rice. And anyway, so alas, I need to be accountable for my carbo loading through COVID and bring it back down. But I'm glad you know about it. And now I will get it back under control and just swap out a couple servings a day for a salad instead. So that was my low. I am not invincible.
Okay, you're not going to believe this. My low is the same as yours.
No,
I'm not even kidding. I bet I was planning this all along. No, I'm not even kidding. So, but mine is where I had a physical back in November, and she put the thing for the blood work, and then I never have gone. I kept thinking, oh, I'll wait till I'm feeling healthier. So, I did that sugar fast. I was thinking I'll wait and go in right after. Won't everything look good? Because I've had a cholesterol issue myself. Okay, so I went in right before we left for here. I did the fasting thing. I went in and now she wants to see me again. And I'm just going to tell you all, my cholesterol is 264. And that is kind of the same as it was last time that she told me it was too high. And I know the ratio is like kind of okay, but it's gone up too. So it's not good either. So it's funny that you said that, Sarah, because I've been really kind of delving into like, well, what is wrong with like the way I'm eating or living or whatever. Part of the thing, I don't know if you have this, I have like genetically, like my grandma had some weird thing where she had super duper high cholesterol. Do you have that too? And I remember even in my 20s, I was like 225.
Me too.
And, right. So, oh my gosh, twins again. Oh my gosh. So I have always just sort of thought, okay, my blood pressure is low. I'm exercising. I don't eat a lot of junk. But I have also realized that, and of course, my husband, who is very, he really is like science focused and nutrition. He's really into this stuff. And he has had us really on kind of what's it called? Paleo, but that's not I don't know if that's the right name anymore, but low carb, meats, fats are okay, butter. And I have always found I've been kind of going in and out of it because I really like whole grains and crave those and kind of I just need them, whatever. So I'm just really so he's been sending me some information, and part of it is that maybe it's possible that the understanding about cholesterol isn't full right at this point. Like it could be that there's some I don't want to take anything for it, honestly, because when you strip the cholesterol, you also can strip some good stuff that helps your brain. And given a family history of brain issues and dementia, I really want to protect in there. But anyway, okay, well, we can work on this together because I need to figure this out. I'm going to just try some different things because it does say that avocado and olive oil, those things are all good. But and I don't know which is what I eat, but I do think maybe my heavy cream in my coffee, maybe have to
possibly, but also everything in balance and moderation.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I also wonder if stress on top of that might bump up some of those numbers. And I bet the same is for you. The good thing is because of our commitment to exercise and stuff like that, our HDL number is probably pretty high.
Yeah.
And that's a buffer. And so, the ratio is pretty good, but still I'm around 250 and it'd be good to come back down a smidgy.
Okay, well, we could maybe do a 6-month trial of just seeing whatever, maybe, because I'm sure you're going to have to go back. I know she's going to send me back. And I go in, it's every time I go in, she goes, well, your cholesterol is and I'm like, well, yes. And I really don't change anything. And so I think I need to this time try to be consistent with maybe a different thing. I don't know, maybe more oatmeal and fewer eggs. I've been really into, because the paleo thing is eggs and whatever, no toast. But I had nut butters are supposed to be good. So I had whole grain toast with almond butter before I went skiing. It was so good. Anyway, okay. But mostly what's crazy, Sarah, is how on earth in all the highs and lows of the world, what are the chances that
we picked the same one?
I mean, anyway, that's just weird, but maybe it's a common thing amongst people our age. Who knows?
Probably. Y'all, anybody watching this or listening, you'll have to weigh in how your cholesterol is right now. Maybe it's just the way it goes.
I did hear, so the phlebotomist taking my blood, she said that people have gained a ton of weight during COVID. And I didn't really know that. I haven't noticed it in anybody in particular or whatever, but I guess it's a trend, some probably being home more, comfort eating and everything else. And I would say that was true for me early on, but then I really got excited about exercising more and having more time for exercise. So kind of, but anyway, that's crazy. Okay. So we did our highs and lows. So we want to share just a couple of ideas of sort of either resources that we've liked or kind of activity ideas. So, Sarah, you had a podcast that you just started listening to that you wanted to recommend.
Yes, I've only listened to I think 2 episodes, so I'm not an expert on it, and I'm still curious about it, but I think it's a worthwhile recommendation. And so this month is Black History Month, and I continue to be, as I kind of seek to know more about racial injustice and those challenges that we've really been brought to the forefront this last year, I just am floored by how much I don't know. And I'm a decently educated human being and decently read. But holy cow, there's so many things I don't know. So there's this podcast called Black History Buff, BUFF. You can subscribe, but it's in a couple of episodes I learned things that I didn't know. And so I just have committed this month. I'm just going to listen a little more regularly and see what I can glean by learning more about Black history in the United States. And I'm excited about it. So that would be my recommendation if you want to dive into that space with me.
That sounds so cool. Okay, I'll take a listen to some episodes. I don't know, on that note, last spring I listened to the 1619 project, which is it was 6 episodes. That was very interesting. And again, it's sort of, like you said, we were not taught in history, actual Black history, like what they experienced. It was sort of told from the white perspective. And very interesting. I learned a lot. I'm kind of shocked that I didn't know some of it, so that's another one. All right. So another kind of resource or idea that is just random. And I told Sarah before we started recording that I want her to hold me accountable. Something that I want to learn because I think it'll have benefit in the long term for projects and stuff is getting better at using I think it's called dragon dictation, where you dictate and then it writes for you. So you're not typing. So I'm hoping that I can learn that. I got inspired by Karen Locke-Culp, who she has the We Turned Out Okay podcast, and she's become a friend, and she's pretty incredible. She has an issue with her hands where she can't type, and she's written books, multiple books using dictation, which is so cool. So anyway, I was kind of inspired by her. I emailed her, what is the one you use? And I'm going to take the time because you have to train it. And that's why I do this a lot, where something that could help a lot, but takes some time up front, I postpone. And I feel like it's just, the time you could save and the benefits in the long run are so good, but it's hard for that, I don't know, that short-term thing. So that's something that I want to try. And I've heard people talking into their phones. I don't even do that with texts and stuff. I'm always with my one thumb.
So I'm a thumb user too. I'm excited about that resource. You'll have to report back and let us know how long it takes to learn and all that good stuff.
I definitely will. And then the other thing that we both want to share about is something that I think is kind of just a helpful idea to think about. Similar to what Tulsa and I are doing right now, which is just we're walking and it's pretty casual. It's not really planned out, except for we have a format of what we're going to talk about. We know we didn't share ahead of time what our highs and lows were. And Sarah has a whole bunch of affirmations, so she gets to just pick one for each week that she's going to share. But we have enough of a format that we both know, we look forward to it because we both know what to expect. And if you're listening, you might also, if you like it, you'll like it that next time you listen, it'll be the same format. So that familiarity. But it just came to me today because we seem to have so many meetings now, and when you think about it, even family dinner is a meeting, or picking up your kids after something, or whatever it is, everything, when you think about it, kind of is a meeting or a reconnection point. And I think it's really helpful, even if it feels awkward, to suggest or have sort of guidelines for your talk. So if you're meeting a friend for a walk once a week, like we are, having some kind of guidelines, just saying hey, I want to make sure that I really hear from you, what's going on with you. And we both have time to share, and we have time to vent, but we also have time to give some encouragement. So, kind of come up with this kind of structure. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, well, one, I love it because I am a time manager and I love using time well. But I think so often going into different kinds of meetings, people are coming with all of their moods and baggage and stuff that happened that morning, and knowing what to expect about, is this a vent session? Is this a planning meeting? Is this an encouragement time? Is it personal? Is it business? I mean, some of those have, I've been surprised how meetings really took a turn and went a different way. I thought it was one thing, but it was something else. And so I think that even at the beginning is giving people an opportunity to say, this is what I need out of this, or this is my expectation. And then if it can't be that, say, oh my goodness, I really want to listen to that or hear about that, but not in this context. So let's have this meeting. And then afterwards, let's take a walk around the block and tell me about it. Or afterwards, let's stay on the Zoom and talk about it longer. I think I just am more comfortable when there's structure.
Well, and it's kind of more efficient. You kind of just feel, I don't know. I think that's one of the reasons why many of us have always came to dread meetings. Because if a meeting has no actual purpose or direction or overall idea, it can just go on. And I do this all the time too. We get on tangents and you just start talking about different things. But I really like that idea, and especially with your friends who maybe you only get to connect with infrequently, to kind of just commit to making sure that you're providing encouragement, support. you're hearing what's going on with them and their kids. And they have a chance to, like, you both have a chance to share, and obviously sometimes someone's in a crisis and it needs to be about them, and but most of the time on a regular basis, it's really helpful to have that format. So that was just kind of an idea that we thought our camp directors brains thought. Since we're always like, it's funny because even at camp, everything's sort of a meeting. Like if you're having a campfire, like, yes, there's a free flowing time, but the person leading it, the counselor, does have a structure. Like, hey, we're gonna, start with a game, and then we're gonna chat, and then we're gonna do the story, or they go into it, and that's what makes it fun, because all the kids get to participate. Everybody's heard. We all practice our listening. So I think that works in other settings beyond camp.
You said something really important, Audrey, and that's like everybody's heard. In any setting, there's always one person, one child, one, adult who is the quieter one and isn't going to readily dive in with their input. And again, in that effort to see and validate everybody, having an opportunity for everybody's voice to be heard is so important, because we all miss out on the gift of that person's input. So that piece in particular is really important to me, and structure helps make that happen.
Yeah. And if you're in a, like, I mean, some people aren't comfortable speaking in front of a group of even 10 people. So you can do that. You can pair people off, like share for a few minutes. Like you can still do that even with people who don't want to or aren't comfortable with that. So it doesn't have to be this uncomfortable speaking in front of a large group, but even like on Zoom breakout rooms or whatever, there's like so many different ways to accomplish letting everybody have their time. So I thought that was really good. Okay, so what else have we got? We have our inspirational quote, a question or follow-up activity to try. Anything else you want to share today, Salsa?
Oh, you know what? I did found this quote. I'm hoping not to lose you. I wonder if I can go find it.
Who's it by? I can try to look it up.
It was okay, so y'all, I don't know if you know who Flying Edna is. No. FlyingEdna.com. Well, there's this artist and I would say poet named Brian Andres. And I followed him for years. I think I have 12 of his books. Winsome, deep, provocative, darling, affirming poet and funky artist. Well, he changed his name to Sky, as his wife changed her name too. And now they have a website called Flying Edna, EDNA. And it's just full of whimsy and inspiration. And I get a daily email with a little piece of art and a little saying. And today's was so good. And I meant to have it readily available, but I'm afraid if I go looking for it.
Okay, don't do that. I was just looking at one in a post, because so if you're listening to this on Facebook, I'm doing an encore of my podcast. And tomorrow I'm re-releasing my talk with Jim Burns about doing life with your adult children, which I love so much. And in that post, I was looking at a quote that I had shared at the bottom. And it's about how, like, a great attitude becomes a great day, becomes a great month, becomes a great year, I think becomes a great life. Let me just see. Of course, I guess we weren't as prepared as we
Next time I will have it with me, I promise.
You know what else? Do you ever go on Pinterest?
Yes.
Okay, well, I have a quotes board, and I'm not even kidding. I have like thousands of things on there. So I could just go in there, and I have quotes and inspirations, and I save anything that comes up that I really, really love. And so I'm just going there. You can talk amongst yourself. I can't you can talk, Sarah. What are you reading right now? Share your book you're reading right now.
Oh, I'm reading a new one that I'm on parenting, and I am appreciating. It's by Paul Tripp, and what I love about it is that, sorry about that phone, it's going to stop in just a moment. Okay. It's not one of those books that's like super practical, like do things exactly this way. It's about the foundations. It's about a mindset on parenting that as we understand kind of this framework, then our behavior towards our children is shaped by that. So one chapter is about not viewing our kids as something we own, but something we steward or are an ambassador of. The chapter I just read was about the law. And this is a faith-based book, but it talks about while children need discipline and they need rules to grow up into and understand morality, law can never replace what grace brings. And I just so appreciated kind of that foundational part of here's rules and guidelines. But as parents, when we demonstrate unconditional love and grace and show our foibles too, and how we come back from mistakes, how profoundly important that is to our kids. So I'm getting a lot out of this book. I really appreciated it.
Okay, I'm so excited. I totally need to read it because I read his New Morning Mercies and loved that so much last year. Okay, well, I'm going to do one of my all-time favorites, and I can't believe it just didn't just come to mind, but We Rise by Lifting Others. And it's just a great reminder that like when you give kindness or anything that you give out, you get back like millionfold. And I think it's so important to teach our kids that feeling that like it feels so good to like celebrate your friends and to drop off like a surprise gift just because, or a meal or something like that. And how you actually like you and I are good examples. We get better at what we do because of when we share, we actually like lift like our ideas get better. So like I'll say, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. And you know, your camp that I guess people could say is like a competitor, but it doesn't feel that way, right? To us,
Right.
We know that like you do better, your camp does better. That makes my camp, that lifts us up too. Like we want the whole camp industry to be better. So
Right.
For us, we rise as camps individually and as a whole industry, and for all kids benefit by lifting each other up and supporting each other.
Hurrah for that. Let's put all that on a big t-shirt and see if we can go make our impact in the world.
We're home in our little corner, whoever joins us for these walks, right, Salsa? We know Kate's listening.
Yay, Kate. Shout out to Kate. And maybe Pam's listening this time too.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you for walking with us. We hope you're actually walking because honestly, you know, walking, it's like it's good to get exercise, it's good to learn new stuff. So how about pair them together like we're doing? So good.
There you go. There you go. And we're kind of, you know, like I don't sweat in front of everybody like this. So for those of you who are joining us, thanks for being a good friend and letting us huff and puff together.
Yeah, so fun. And we'll just close by sending you great wishes that may you be full of both sunshine and salsa this week. A little spice and fun and some light and love and connection. And we will see you all probably in a week or two, whenever the technology works for us.
Everybody take good care of each other.